this is how I would start a garden if it was a blank slate now. This is how I would start it to simplify it for myself and at the same time have the maximum impact the first summer. So one of the problems you have when you have a new garden is the huge expense, the upfront costs of populating the entire garden with your new plants. That can get very expensive. So what I want to do is in this video is to minimize those costs and your effort and your labor and get you off to the right start in your first year. And some of these tips can apply to both a flower border and the veggie garden. So I'm going to focus on the examples which will be the flower border, but many of the tips that I'm going to mention can equally be applied when you're selecting varieties and everything to the vegetable plot. Plants are all plants at the end of the day, so what I say is relevant for flowers is likely relevant also for your veg plot. So stick with me and I'm going to tell you how. So the first thing I'm going to say is learn to grow from seed, because if you have a new garden, then one of the worst things, I think, one of the things for me that was most frustrating was I'd see all these gardens on the TV and they would be absolutely jam-packed full of flowers or jam-packed full of veg, and they would just be hugely productive. And I used to think that must cost them thousands to put all those plants in there, because I was thinking they must be buying them all from the shop, because that's what I was doing. Although I did grow some from seed, I didn't really grow a lot because I didn't find that I was hugely successful at growing things with seed because I had a busy life. But the thing is, you do have to learn to grow from seed. And this is the number one thing that's going to transform your garden, whether it be a flower garden or a veggie plot. You learn to grow from seed, and there are some really foolproof tricks that you can learn from growing from seed. I have loads of videos which I'll link below, how I have successfully nailed down the process of growing things from seed. Winter sowing method, if you're watching this video in the winter, the most foolproof method for growing things from seed is the winter sowing method. The second most foolproof thing is just waiting till the frosts pass and putting your seeds somewhere where you're not going to forget them. I put my seeds like where I have to walk past them almost every day, so that you're not letting them dry out, because they will dry out real fast in the summer especially if you're doing a spring sowing. So learn to grow from seed. The second other reason for learning to grow from seed, apart from it's cheap, you'll have hundreds of plants. So for £20 that you could buy, maybe if you got two for the price of one foxgloves for £20, that's how much they cost these days. Let's face it, these more mature plants, they might even die because you might have planted them in the wrong place or something. That's your money up in smoke. You could spend £20 on seeds and suddenly you'd have thousands of plants, because you'd have thousands of seeds in those packets. And so even if some fail, you're still going to end up with more than if you'd spent that £20 just on a couple of mature plants in the garden centre. So I definitely recommend learn to grow from seed. You cannot beat it in terms of the impact it will have on your garden. Number 2 is, when you are growing from seed, keep it simple. When you're spending your £20 budget, for instance, on seeds, don't buy everything you won't be able to with £20, to be honest. With seeds being £3 or £4 a packet, realistically, you're only going to be able to buy 5 packets. And 5 packets is probably about right for your first year. If you do any more than that, you start to quickly forget what each seed needs, what the treatment is. You get confused. There's too much to take in. If you just learn to grow sort of 5, I'm saying 5, obviously I'm not going to commit you to just grow 5, grow whatever you want. But the 5, it just kind of, around that, keeping it simple around that number will just consolidate your knowledge about growing seeds. And once you've grown those 5 successfully, you'll see patterns and you'll learn skills, and that will enable you to grow more the following year. But if you get those 5 right and successful, that's going to have more impact in your garden in the first year than trying to grow 20 different varieties and you just overwhelmed and you just give up and fail at them all. So in summary, for number 2, keep it simple. Number 3, now if it is your first year, so say for instance it's spring or winter or spring right now, and you've got your £20 burning a hole in your pocket for seeds, then you're looking for annuals. If you really want the impact in the first year, look for flowering annuals. You can of course start hardy perennials now, but because hardy perennials tend to require more root and foliage bulk up, they won't flower until the following year. So we're talking about having impact the first year in your new garden. And so what you want is things that will flower first year. So you're looking for annuals. Annuals tend to be quick to germinate, quick to grow, and quick to flower, and this is precisely what you want, such as sweet peas, nigella, marigolds, cornflowers, cosmos zinnias, sunflowers, and that's just to name but a few, but those are the plants that are going to give you most bang for your buck in the first year. Number 4, when you're selecting your seeds or plants for your first year garden, choose plants that are going to flower at different times. The garden centres and seed selling companies are arranged to sell you flowers that are going to flower in that moment when you're shopping. So what you really need to do is work out before you go shopping what flowers when, to make sure that you have flowers throughout the period, the flowering period in your garden. And it's the same when you're doing a veg garden. You obviously don't want just all your crop to happen in early summer. You need to have crops continually going through the year to supply you with food. And it's the same with flowers, you know. And also on that note, we are supplying all our pollinators and little critters with food the more flowering period we have, so the longer the flower period we have. So, you know, we don't just want all our flowers happening in early summer. We want things to continue flowering until late autumn. So obviously an example of flowers that flower early are your sweet peas, and then you have later flowering are your asters, rudbeckias, things like that. And then you need to find a range of flowers such as cosmos that will flower in between, and that way throughout the seasons you have something of interest in your garden. Number 5 would be to just focus on a particular area of your garden, especially if you've got quite a large to medium sized garden or small to medium sized garden. So what I did when I first moved into this house was I just focused on an area that I could see from out of the kitchen window, and that's when I planted this rose hedge here, and I also had a little table and chairs amongst the rose hedge, and then I expanded into this ranuncular bed here, and I would fill those with ranunculars, and then as I got more and more confident I would build more and more borders and grow more and more flowers. So I didn't bother with the rest of the garden, because as you looked out the window all you could really see was the patio area and the barbecue area where we would have family meals outside. So I concentrated all my efforts when I was a new gardener on this area, and I grew things in pots, in hanging baskets, and even the shrubs that I grew, the flowering shrubs, I grew all around this sort of contained area, so that when you looked out of my garden it absolutely looked like a flower farm. It was just full of flowers, but the moment you stepped down those steps into the rest of the garden it was really still quite blank, because I hadn't quite got to that yet. I didn't have the time, the knowledge or the resources to completely fill that area. So if that's the case for you, the way you have maximum impact in the first year is to focus on one particular area. And then on that note, as a kind of a bonus point, if you grow in pots, you have a kind of an elasticity with your design. You have a flexible design, because what I also found was due to my lack of experience, I would obviously have blank spaces in the garden throughout the summer where something either failed to grow or it died, or I didn't realise that it wasn't going to flower. It was a short-lived perennial, something like that. So I was expecting something to flower that didn't flower. And if you have things in pots, if you have lots of annuals growing in pots, you can just move those pots into those blank spaces. In the summer, when your borders are more rich with growth anyway, those pots can be quite well hidden amongst other foliage, so all you will see is the flowers. So those would be my top tips for having the most impactful garden in your first year. It can be extremely daunting when you get a garden and it's just a blank space. How are you going to fill it? How are you going to fill it with flowers like you have in your dreams? Then these are my 5 top tips for doing that, plus obviously that bonus tip of growing in pots. And if you found that really helpful, then do consider subscribing, clicking the notification bell, and liking and sharing with your friends. And I'll see you again in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.